What's up, guys? Fubsy Gamer here with another video for you. If you haven't noticed, this is not on my computer. This is a live video because sometimes people ask if I have real cards in real life. The answer is no. I don't. I play online. I used to, but I retired from Paper Magic, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but I recently joined a team up, and we're preparing for Grand Prix Salt Lake, and so I wanted to start playing in the Grand Prix Trials, so I'm borrowing cards from my teammates, because I only play online. And I decided I want to show you a deck that I played this weekend and in the game days. Took second at both of them. You know, didn't get them play at either time, but I'm still pleased with how the deck played. So here's what happened. So Friday night, I borrowed this deck from a buddy of mine, Jeff Deering. Shout out to Game Haven, which is a store that you all should be playing at when you come into Salt Lake City. Play Friday Magic at Game Haven. Anyway. This is a deck that the owner of the store, Jeff Deering, lent to me. Soul Control. I knew I wanted to play Esper. I think the Esper is probably the best deck in the format. Talking with a couple of other teammates. Fix my little hoodie. You know, Esper Control, or the Soul Control version of it with all the Planeswalkers, just seems like the best version. If you haven't seen Oren Beasley's list from Pro Tour Honolulu, check it out. He did pretty well. He went like 7-2-1 or something like that. But yeah, I really like this deck a lot. I'm playing on the weekend. It's a great time. So I want to show you a little bit of what the deck, how the deck, I got the deck, and then some of the changes that I made to the deck. So this, laid out right here, is exactly how I got the deck from Jeff, from my buddy Jeff. I had an idea of how I wanted it, but this is what he had built. I'm going to just try it out stock. So here he has 3 Liliana the Veils, 1 Sorin, 2 Gideons, 2 Sun Titans, 2 Phantasmal Images. So you can see already that it's not just Soul Control with the Planeswalkers. He's also got a little bit of the Esper, like a... Oh, this is kind of embarrassing. What's the name of the... Oh my gosh. This is so embarrassing, guys. Anyway, the control deck. Oh, this is going to kill me. Alright, let's just move on. So he has the Sun Titan and the Phantasmal Image package. Moving on, Lingering Souls, 4 of those, which is the key part of the deck. Liliana, Lingering Souls, awesome together. I'll talk more about the interactions in just a minute. 2 Day of Judgments, 3 Ratchet Bombs, 2 Tragic Slip, 1 Go for the Throat, 2 Doom Blades, 3 Mana Leak, 3 Think Twice, 3 Forbidden Alchemy, 1 Oblivion Ring. And then the sideboard, 4 Flash Freeze, 1 Day of Judgment, 2 Sword of Feast and Famine, 2 Revoke Existence, 2 Dissipates, 2 Nihil Spellbombs, 2 Timely Reinforcements, and a slew of lands. Lands, if you're interested, 3 Plains, 3 Swamps, 2 Islands, 1 Evolving Wilds, 1 Ghost Quarter, 2 Drowned Catacomb, oh man, 2 Glacial Fortress, 4 Isolated Chapels, 4 Darkslick Shores, and 4 Seachrome Coast. 26 lands. So this is the deck. So as soon as I got it, I immediately knew that I wanted more Day of Judgment. So before I even went to the first game day, I immediately went just like this. And I took a Day of Judgment out of the sideboard, and I put it in the main, and I took a Ratchet Bomb from the sideboard, from the main deck, put it into the sideboard. Solar Flare. Sorry, I'm back. Solar Flare is... I can't remember the name of that deck, is what this package is from. Anyway, okay, so I switched out Ratchet Bomb for Day of Judgment. And to be honest, I didn't know 100% why. I knew I wanted more Day of Judgment, just because killing a bunch of creatures is awesome. But we'll talk more about how that went in a bit. So let's talk about some of the cool parts of the deck. Obviously, you have a really good removal package. Lingering Souls is incredible, because you can use it as defense. You can chump block with a bunch. You can also use it for offense, swinging in for tokens, with emblems from Sorin. But the great thing is, the deck has a lot of things that you can discard to Liliana. But it's not like a Reanimator or a Solar Flare deck in that you want to be discarding no matter what. But for example, you can play Liliana on turn 3, and then you can, +1 and discard a Lingering Souls, or a Think Twice, or a Forbidden Alchemy. Or in this deck, a Phantasmal Image. You can discard those cards, and then get them back with flashbacks. That's one of the greatest things I think you can do. Is to be able to go Liliana up, discard the Lingering Souls, then you untap, you flashback Lingering Souls, and keep it up for Mana Leak or something like that. It's absolutely fantastic. The 1 Sorin is incredible. Sorin is really, really good against a whole slew of decks. Man, he's awesome. 2 Gideons, which are really interesting because, obviously they can fog out opponents, up, so they have the attack game. He can also be an attacker. We've seen him since Cobblade. There's nothing new there. The Sun Titan and Phantasmal Image. Sun Titan can get back Phantasmal Image, it can get back Liliana, and it can also get back Ratchet Bomb and Oblivion Ring. From the sideboard, it can get back your swords if it needs to, your spell bombs if it needs to as well. So Sun Titan gets back a lot of stuff here. And of course, one of the most fun things to do is be able to, play Sun Titan and get back Image, copying Sun Titan, get back something else. It can also get back your Ghost Quarter and your Evolving Wilds if you needed to. Other than that, I mean, the deck is pretty straightforward. It's a lot of fun to play, and it's really neat. So I took it to this to my daily event, and I ended up, like I said, I lost in the finals. I 2-0'd everybody first, which always feels really good. Played against a couple of Delver decks. The matchup against Delver, especially the Souls version of Delver, the Spirits version of Delver, the matchup is not very good for them. It's pretty heavy in your favor, probably 60-40, maybe even 70-30. You really have a great matchup against them. They just don't have a way to keep dealing with Dave Judgments. You just keep throwing those Dave Judgments. You can chump block with your Lingering Souls, Ratchet Bombs, Gideons. They just can't deal with it all. And then when you finally, you Ratchet Bomb them away, you Ratchet Bomb them again, Sun Titan brings it back, you do it again, they just can't deal with it very well. They have a really tough time with that. So I was able to beat out a couple of Delver decks. In the finals, I faced a Pure Steel Paladin deck, running a bunch of Battle Skulls and Swords, and Mirran Crusaders. I have to be 100% honest, guys. Like, I know it sounds kind of lame, but like, that deck, I mean, obviously, he beat me, right, so he's really good. But the deck itself, I just don't consider it tier 1, or even maybe not even tier 2. And so of course I lost to it, but I almost don't count it. I do count it. But I can't plan for Pure Steel Paladin very well, because I don't expect to see it, and if I can just remove the Pure Steel Paladin, I have no problems. Game 1 went really long. I was Dave Judgmenting everything, and I was, Tragic Slipping, and I was killing, Go for the Throating everything. And then he finally, chump blocking everything, and he finally just overwhelmed me and got me. It was basically one of those one turn things where like I would kill him next turn unless he killed me this turn, and he got it. So whatever. And then game 2, turn 3 Mirran Crusader, turn 4 equipped it up, and that's all she wrote there. But I was pretty pleased with how the deck played. And even so, there were some changes that I really wanted to make. The first thing was Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb did not impress me as much as I thought that it would. First of all, because it's not just an overall wipe. Like against the Spirits deck, you're either blowing it up for 0, taking out all their Spirits, or you're blowing up for like 3 to get rid of their Captains, but it's not going to get both. And while that's not a huge deal, it is a deal for me. I would rather just get rid of everything, which I like, Day Judgment so much. The removal package, I think we need Go for the Throat instead of Doomblade, because just one. I mean, just like flip it like that, just 2 and 1 or something, because I think that the only artifact we can't hit is Inkmoth Nexus, and Tragic Slip gets Inkmoth Nexus. So and Zombies is kind of becoming, Blueback Zombies is kind of becoming a deck, and so you really have to be, Doomblade's just not as good as it was. Another card that didn't impress me so much was Gideon. A lot of times he was basically like a 5-cost fog. Like I'd play him, I'd up him, and then they'd just kill him. And then next turn I had to play something else. It just didn't do all that much for me. It wasn't very meaty. The Sun Titan Image combo, well, what happened here is, I guess we'll talk about some changes in just a second. Sorin, loved him, wanted more of him. I always wanted a Sorin, and I only had one, and it was kind of like, man, I just dig for him with Forbidden Alchemies, and I'd always get him. I'd be so happy, but like, I really just wanted more Sorin. And then, as far as this package goes, 4 Lingering Soul is really good. 3 Mana Leak, 3 Think Twice, 3 Forbidden Alchemy is perfect. The Oblivion Ring was, like, pretty good. And, yeah, the sideboard was fine, too. I think it's too many Flash Freeze. I think 4 Flash Freeze and 2 Dissipate is a lot. So I want to cut down on that. Timely's good, but I think I'd rather have something that stays there more. Also, my Ratchet Bombs would kill my own souls. I just wasn't very... I loved the deck. I did really well, but I wanted to make some changes. So that was Saturday, the game day. Sunday, we had another game day, and so I decided to switch out some cards. So I want to show you what I switched out here. I don't know if you can tell in the video, I actually had the purple sleeves, where I sideboarded, I took the cards out, and then blue sleeves were brought in over here. Anyway, so the very first thing I did, was I took out, well, I just kicked, this Ratchet Bomb is gone. And I put these 2 Ratchet Bombs into the sideboard, here. And in their place, I brought in a Day of Judgment. Make it 4. And then I also brought in a Sorin. Like that. Because I really wanted another Sorin, and I wanted all the Day of Judgments I could possibly get my hands on. Day of Judgment was just phenomenal. Every time, an opening hand with 3 Day of Judgments, I keep it. Okay, that's a lot. But it's like let's say 2 Day of Judgments, and like a Liliana and some land, and like a Think Twice, and then like I draw like another like a third, like 2 or 3 turns later. Perfect. Like I'm fine with it. I love Day of Judgment right now. I think that card is set up so well. So there's 2 changes I made. I also took out a Doomblade, and I brought in, where is that guy? Go for the Throat, right there. Make it 2 and 1, like I kind of like I said that I would. With the Ratchet Bombs gone, I decided that maybe Sun Titan isn't quite as strong, and I really wanted a different kind of, end game. So I took out the Sun Titans, and I brought in 2 Consecrated Sphinx. Consecrated Sphinx, boss, of course. Everybody knows Consecrated Sphinx is incredible. And I just figured an unanswered Sun Titan or an unanswered Consecrated Sphinx, even for like 1 turn or 2 turns, Consecrated Sphinx is better. Of course, with the Sun Titan gone, Phantasmal Mage is probably going to go. There's a perfect replacement, which is something the deck was lacking in, which is 2 Snapcaster Mage. Because really being able to go turn 4, day, turn 5, something, turn 6, day again, if I need to, is fine. Snapcaster Mage is just better and better and better. Every time I play him, I'm just so happy. Only 2. You don't need 4, because I already have so much card draw, and I'm already cycling through my deck so much. I don't need to. I mean, I'm seeing my spells. What I really need is just the ability to fill up. If you played this deck before, you know that you fill up your graveyard really quickly, and you don't need to like keep casting spells over and over again from there. What you really need is just the ability to do it once or twice, which is exactly why Snapcaster's in the deck. Now, another card that I wasn't too fond of was Gideon. Didn't really like him as much. And so I actually decided to cut him. Now here, I didn't have like a perfect replacement. I didn't have like a 2 that could just go right there to fill in his spot. So I decided, well, first of all, probably another Tragic Slip is never bad. I really like 3. And then the last is a little bit of a surprise, but it's worked really well for me, was a single White Sun Zenith. That works, that is great, especially because with Sorin going up and down, and you're creating dudes, and then you're Lingering Souls, so you're minusing. This is a great one-shot finisher, especially when you get into those late-game, situations like against Wolfrun and things like that, where you're both kind of top-decking a little bit. Being able to go end of your turn, White Sun Zenith for 5 or for 6, and you already have a Sorin token out, or Sorin emblem out, and all of a sudden you can swing for 18 or even 21 or something like that in 1 turn and just finish the game. Really, really powerful, that White Sun Zenith. So this is the deck. Oh, and then sideboard, of course, sideboard. We made some changes. I took out a single Flash Freeze, because I feel like 3 is more than enough. I also took out the Swords of Feast and Famine, because I just didn't see it. I mean, of course it's good. It's not a bad card, but I wanted different cards. What else did I take out here? I also took out the Dissipates. A lot of counter spells. I just wanted to try this out, and I took out the Timelies. I decided Timely Reinforcement is probably not what I want to be doing right now. And for the sideboard, here's what I brought in. I brought in 3 Celestial Purge. This card is super underrated right now. I don't really know the angle I should be at, like this. Celestial Purge is incredible. Against any sort of black decks or mono reds and things like that. But where this deck card really shines is actually in the mirror match, or like in a blue-black, because you can exile Curses, you can exile Lilianas and Sorins. Celestial Purge is a winner. So I brought in 3 Celestial Purges. I also brought in 2 Curse of Death's Hold, because that card is too good to not have in your sideboard. And then I brought in a single Worm Coil. That could probably be a Batter Skull. That wouldn't hurt my feelings. And this is the deck that I took to game day number 2. My teammate and I basically took the same deck. He was running like an Elish Norn instead of White Sun. Elish Norn, I thought about bringing in this deck, but she just dies to creature removal, and I just feel like there's so much creature removal going on. I feel like White Sun does almost not the same thing. I don't want to say the same thing, but White Sun fills a similar role sometimes. Being able to flash it in, and like I have definitely cast a White Sun, and for like 5 or 4, or even 3, to kill a Primeval Titan, or like an Inferno Titan or Thrawn. I've definitely flashed it in to be able to kill big creatures, which I think is something that Elish Norn cannot do. Not big creatures at least, but she's of course really good. I'm not saying Elish Norn is bad. She's very good. I just feel like White Sun Zenith fits this deck just a little bit better than Elesh Norn does. So this is the deck that took with me to the Sunday game day. And there, like I said, my teammate and I basically brought the same deck. It was really similar. And we actually met in the finals. So he and I played in the first round, and I beat him, which was really nice. It was really neat. In the first round, which kind of it sucks. We had to play in the first round, right? That's awful. But it was cool that I was able to take the games. Game 1, it was basically I got the end game. Rise and Zenith is what did it. Like, it was close, battling back and forth. We were both at maybe 10 or 12 life, just kind of going crazy. And then I was just able to, we were kind of in top deck mode a little bit. Now, what I've learned, well, I'm going to go over specific matchups in a second. But I did that, so I beat him 2-0. The second game, he got mana screwed, and it was rough, but it happens. And then I went on to face, what did I play second? Like a Wolf Run? No, I played against a Delver deck with Grand Architect, which is kind of weird, but whatever. And then I played against a couple of other decks that weren't quite as good. They weren't quite tier 1 decks. It was like a mono green deck and things like that. Not an aggro. Anyway, Infect or something. And then, anyway, so we got that. We got top 8. Got to cut to top 4 to play for the playmat. Beat my semifinals opponent, which was playing that Infect deck. And then my teammate and I met up at the finals and went to 3 games. And he was able to get me. Game 3 was just a little bit rough. Well, I guess I could talk about the mirror match. So again, in the mirror match, the most important card. I'll take a second. Let you think about it. What's the most important card in the mirror match? Is it Liliana? Is it Sorin? Sphinx? Possibly the White Sun? I don't know. They're not all running it, right? But what's the most important card? It's this one, right there. Forbidden Alchemy. Whoever casts this first, or whoever gets more of them, wins in the mirror match. That's what we figured out. Because I hadn't played a lot of the mirror match until then. But man, whoever gets that turn 3 alchemy, it's game over. You're just digging through your deck so well. And then by turn 7, because the mirror match is really interesting because a lot of land go like control decks do. But you're also trying to land these threats, and being able to just forbidden alchemy out of turns is just so important. Digging for the answers that you need. Okay, so then the last thing that I did, so I went to the game day, did really well. Then today, Monday, we had like a Friday Night Magic, but on Monday, because there's a lot of card shops around here in Salt Lake, and so we had a Monday Night Magic, and I made one more change. There's one more card that is purple here, and it's this one. Oblivion Ring is like a one-of that I just felt like didn't do its job as a one-of. My example is White Sun Zenith is perfect because if I draw it mid-game or late-game, I can hold on to it, I can use it when I need it. It's just a great way to finish. If I don't ever see it, that's fine as well. But if I can dig to it and get it, Anyway, but this one of Oblivion Ring just didn't do it for me. Just not where I want to be. It was kind of, it feels like a catch-all card. I read an article in Star City. Can't remember who wrote it. Dang it, the guy who created it along with Oren Beasley. Anyway, he said this is kind of like a catch-all card, just in case, but you can probably cut it. So I ended up cutting this and bringing in secret tech, Planeswalker. What is it? Big Sorin. Just one. I have to be honest with you guys. This was just a test to see how I liked him. I tested him online first. He did very well. But the thing is, sometimes our deck goes to 4 or 6. A good example is against mono red. And today I played against a green-red aggro deck. And I went to like 3 life or 4 life before I was able to stabilize. And just having this along with this, but not at the same time, right? I did that online, by the way. These are the same dude. They kill each other. Like, Legend rule, Planeswalker rule. Online, I had this guy, and then I played this one, and I was like, oh, geez, I totally just spaced it. Don't do that. But anyway, I played against a red-green, and I went like 3 or 4 life, and it was like, man. And then he like I went to 4, because then he like had a Brimstone Volley, and then like I countered it, and he had another one, and anyway, this is really good, because I can start getting some life 2 and 2, that kind of stuff. And even, let's say you're at 2 or 3 life, you could play him and just take yourself to 10, which a lot of people don't really think about. They think you have to take your opponent down to 10. Take him up to 10. Online, he did great, so I decided to play him tonight, and he was fantastic whenever I drew him. He was perfect as a one-of, because I didn't always need him, but when I wanted him and I had him, it was I could dig for him with Forbidden Alchemies, and or the Sphinx, and he did great, killing guys and going up and controlling people's turns if I needed to. Is he gonna stay forever? Maybe not. Karn could easily go in his place. Elesh Norn even maybe. I'm not sure, but I really liked him. He did really well for me. So this is the deck I ended up with. This is the deck I really, really, really like. Now, the mana base has to change. What I've discovered is I don't want so many Seachrome Coasts. I would rather have more Glacial Fortresses. And I would like more basic lands, a little bit more, and maybe some more Evolving Wilds. By the way, if you're playing this deck at home, and you have something similar, 4 Isolated Chapels, maybe like, 3 or 4 Glacial Fortresses, if you have Evolving Wilds, you want to get Plains, because Plains turns on all your untapped lands, except for Drowned Catacomb if you're playing that. So unless you have to get a blue, because you have to have a blue or something, but if you're just like, oh, Evolving Wilds, I got a good slew of lands in my hand, get a Plains, because Plains will turn on, 8, or 7 or 8 of your untapped, of your slow lands. So there's a little tip for you. But let's talk about sideboarding. So the first sideboard is blue-white Delver. Our deck is actually very well set up for this matchup. Depending on what you see, if you see a whole bunch of swords, okay. So first of all, the thing you take out. If you have to take something out for the blue-white Delver, you'd probably take out your Mana Leaks. Mana Leak is a card I actually took out quite a bit. It's really good to have game 1. It's not as good game 2. And 3. It's still really good though. So I might take out Mana Leaks. And in its place, you could bring in. It kind of depends. You could bring in your Ratchet Bombs if you see spirits along with them. If you see Geists and things like that, then maybe you keep your Mana Leaks or maybe not. Curses and Bombs though are kind of what you're looking to bring in here, and Revoke Existence. So these 6 cards here. Now Consecrated Sphinx stays. He's amazing. Let's say you want to bring in 4 cards. If you want to bring in like Curses, Ratchet Bombs, and like maybe like 2 Revoke Existence and 2 Ratchet Bombs, you can take out your White Sun Zenith as well. So potentially that could be a sideboard option against Blue-White Delver. The deck is really well set up against Blue-White Delver anyway. But that's just kind of like if you need to find something to do, right? The next matchup, okay, Spirits. Spirits is even easier. You just bring in the Curse of Death's Hold, really. And potentially the Ratchet Bombs if you want to. And really, it's almost the same thing comes out, really, just the Mana Leaks come out. Maybe some of the spot removal, possibly. But I don't think so. I think your Mana Leaks come out. Maybe just 2 Mana Leaks. And your Curses come in, so that one's pretty easy. Against, let's see here, Humans? Humans is tough. Humans is just a rough matchup. It's similar. Ratchet Bombs and Curses. Humans, you just gotta get your Day of Judgments, otherwise you're probably in big trouble. Now the other archetypes, let's see, Wolf Run. So against Wolf Run, you bring in your Flash Freeze. Now it depends how you beat Wolf Run. This deck is interesting, because like the sideboarding plan somewhat depends on how you actually win the game. If they don't ever see a Lingering Souls, then you keep them in, right? But if you beat them with Lingering Souls, if you're tokening them to death, then they think you're like something like a black-white tokens. They're going to bring in all their removal. You can actually take these out against Wolf Run. They're good, but they're not perfect. And actually, against the Wolf Run deck I played today, I took out my 4 Lingering Souls, and I brought in 3 Flash Freeze and a Wormcoil. Because I just wanted a beater out there. And I just planned on beating him with all my removals and like, countering all of his stuff. And that worked out really well for me, actually. I really liked how that went. So, yeah. Now, Blue-Black Control. You definitely... Okay, Blue-Black Control, the biggest thing here is probably Nihil Spellbomb. And... Again, your Mana Leaks come out. See, Mana Leaks come out a lot. You just don't need them as much. I also against Blue-Black, if they play Liliana, maybe Celestial Purge, but against Blue-Black, I also like the Wormcoil. Because it's just a dude, you know, because usually what they'll do, especially if they don't see a Sphinx or something, is they'll board out a lot of their removal. Maybe they'll keep in, maybe they're bringing their Curses, but they board out a lot of their spot removal. So you just bring in a Wormcoil and you just try and slam that down if you have to. Because really against Blue-Black Control, you become the beatdown, right? Like who's on the beats or whatever, like by Mac Flores. And yeah, against the mirror match, you bring in Celestial Purges. There, and you bring in your Spell Bombs. And you take out your Lingering Souls. Because you're assuming that again, it kind of depends on the quality of player, right? But I usually take out my Lingering Souls here. And then I'll... I mean, it just depends. You know, there's a lot you can bring in. Let's say you wanted to bring in also your Curses. Because you think they're not going to take out their Lingering Souls. So that's 7 cards. You could take out your 4 Lingering Souls. And you could take out your 3 Tragic Slips. This is how I played against my buddy. There, that's how I sideboarded right there. 4 Lingering Souls, 3 Tragic Slips, for 3 Purges, 2 Spell Bombs, and 2 Curses. But yeah, that's the sideboarding. The deck is amazing, guys. I really, really like it a lot. I would definitely recommend playing this deck. Am I going to play it at the GP in Salt Lake City? Probably. If not this, something very similar. You know, I've got a couple of... Let's see if I can put this kind of back how it was. The sideboard, you know, depends. As you can see, Ratchet Bomb is not that great in my sideboard either. Maybe I'll switch it out for, like, Dissipates or Timelies or... another thing a lot of people are doing is that Geist of St. Drac plan. Doesn't seem as good because I'm beating with token anyway, so they're bringing in, you know, their board sweepers and stuff. Oh, look, I guess the heater just turned on. But potentially, you could take out like 2 of these and maybe a Celestial Purge or something. Another option is the Flash Freezes could become Despises, so you can be proactive against Wolf Run instead of being reactive. Let's see if we can put this back. Other than that, any other changes I would make? Probably not. I mean, so the loose cards, let's talk about the loose cards for a second. These are cards that could be... okay. First, let's talk about staples, right? Okay, sideboard we're done, because sideboard just always changes. And so it just depends on where you're going, what you're doing. Wormcoil could probably be a Batterskull. Probably should be a Batterskull. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, sideboard, done. Loose, okay, land, done. We talked about land. So the loose cards in the deck. What I mean by loose cards, maybe I'm not saying it the right way, but in my mind, loose cards are cards that you could potentially switch out. And like the staple or the steady cards are cards that don't come out. I don't think 4-Day Judgments ever leave this deck. Maybe one day they will. Maybe I'll bite my words next week. But I think that 4-Day Judgments, integral. I think they are perfect. There they are. More staples, obviously Lingering Souls. This is like the backbone of the deck. Even though it comes out sometimes, it's still really good. Liliana, I don't think ever comes out. I think you always have to keep Liliana. And I just put them back in their places, right? Come on. You can tell I didn't plan this out very well before I started making this video. Okay. Staples, most of these are staples. Loose cards. Bison Zenith, Sorin. You have room to play with. You could potentially bump a Tragic Slip, because I added one. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, guys. Because I added a Tragic Slip. So you potentially have 3 cards you could play with here. 2 finishers and something else. I think Tragic Slip should be here. Now, what could you potentially... Here's another option, right? Because this is, 3 Sorins. You could make this another one of these Sorins, and then make this. You don't want 4 of the one Sorin, right? But maybe like this could become like the Elesh Norn or the Karn. That would be fine, depending on your meta. Also, depending on what you are countering or how you like to play, you could change these for Grave Titans. Consecrated Sphinx or Grave Titan. Although I don't recommend it because I think Sphinx is just house. He's just so good. But maybe. Alchemies are awesome. You could maybe miss an Alchemy. My teammate and I somewhat disagree on this one. He thinks 2 is enough. I love 3. Another loose card, maybe 1 Alchemy. So I'm just going to put these on here. So these are cards you could potentially cut. So there's 4. Let's see. 3 Think Twice. Beautiful. Perfect. Love them. Mana Leak. Weirdly enough, Mana Leak is not... It's just not as good as I don't know. Like you've seen, usually this is the first card to come out. But I can't think of what's better, right? So probably just stays. Yeah, Mana Leak probably stays. But maybe it could come out. So here's 4 cards you could play with. And you guys saw how I cut Gideon and put in an Alchemy or something like that. I can't remember what I put in. But like, they don't have to be similar cards, right? So even though these are more finishers, we could replace them with like another Think Twice. Probably don't, but you could, because you blow through so much of your deck anyway. Karn, Sorin, Elspeth maybe. Although Elspeth is kind of lackluster, I don't like her as much. Grave Titan. You could make this like a 1 Grave Titan or something. But anyway, that's the video there. So the last thing I want to talk about is I love doing this. I love tweaking decks. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to learn more. I like playing new decks. And I invite you guys, my listeners, to send me your decks. I won't be able to do it live, like physically like this. I'll have to do it on the computer. But I would love to be able to, you send me a list, I'll load it up, I'll play a couple games with it, record it, and then I will suggest some changes for you. And we'll kind of see how that goes, because, yeah, I like being able to help people out, and I like being able to tweak decks and give ideas and learn from you guys as well. So let's do that. I'm going to make a separate video where I invite people to do that as well. But that'd be sweet. And also, I'd love your comments down below. And let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know what you would change, what you'd add, what you suggest for the GP trials coming up. And other than that, thanks for watching, guys.